It may be warm now, but it'll be cold soon enough. Taft Price talks with our garden expert Paul James about what you can plant for cooler weather for 2 Works for You in the Garden.
Good morning, welcome back to In the Garden. And Paul, last weekend we were talking about, okay, it's starting to cool off a little bit as we move into the fall season. We start thinking about those cool season crops. And last week you were talking about planting these from seed, but you also hinted a little bit at transplants.
That's right, the transplants have arrived. Cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli,
okay,
which are collectively known as cole crops.
All right.
Because, you may not know this, Taft, the German word for cabbage is Kohl, as in coleslaw.
Really? I did not know that.
Learn something new every day.
Already learning things this morning, yes.
So, these do much better as planted as transplants. If you
Okay.
plant it from seed, it's a little tricky actually.
Okay.
So, and they're so easy to plant. The best soil you can give them, if you want to amend that soil a little bit with a good composted product, that's great. These will take anywhere from 50 to 75 days to mature.
Okay.
So just make sure you water well, but they'll love it when those cold or cooler temperatures arrive. Man, they just really, really love that change in temperature. Watch out for a little critter, little white moth that'll flitter about, cabbage looper or imported cabbage worm.
Okay.
And she will lay her eggs on the underside of these leaves. The larva, a little caterpillar, will start chewing on the leaves. You can hand pick them
Okay.
to get rid of them. You can use something called BT, which is a bacteria, an old natural product. But other than that, they really don't require a whole lot of care and attention.
Okay, and I know when we go to the fall, a lot of times we think summertime, how hot it is, how dry it is, and we're watering all the time out in the garden. But when we get to the fall, sometimes some folks, they kind of tail off a little bit with the watering. You're saying this is a perfect time, though, to keep these guys going. Make sure you keep that watering practice up.
You got to watch the weather. You know, if we're going to have dependable rainfall for a day or 2 or 3, maybe next week we will, who knows. When it's really hot and dry, going to have to water these good, maybe once in the morning, maybe again in the afternoon. The broccoli, though, wonderful crop, and you get a lot of bang for your buck, because $2.49 for a transplant, you pay a lot more than that and you'll get side shoots on these.
Okay.
Cabbage develops nice big head of cabbage, and then cauliflower, which Mark Twain called cabbage with a college education. This is a self-blanching variety. So in the old days, you used to have to tie the outer leaves up to protect the white curd, it's called. These do it by themselves, so you don't have to worry about that. That protects them from intense sunlight, and you'll have wonderful cauliflower.
Wow.
But what you need to go with the foods that you're going to prepare with all these, some herbs.
Herbs. Sounds good.
They're right over here.
Okay.
So here, Taft, we've got a bunch of herbs. Now, most people think herbs you only plant in spring.
Okay.
You can go ahead and get another crop, and in fact, many of these, all but the cilantro and the basil, are perennial herbs.
Okay.
So get them in the ground or in a container. They'll get a good root system established, and they'll come back next spring.
So if we have these planted in the spring and they're still looking decent as we move on into September, should we just continue with those, or would it be better to move them out and bring some fresh in for the rest of the fall?
You know, in a lot of cases, for instance, basil, it's still doing okay.
Okay.
But you may see the leaves starting to crinkle up a little bit. And,
Okay.
then sure, by all means, go ahead and plant some more. There's sage, there's rosemary, lavender, thyme, the cilantro, oregano, more cilantro, chives, super hardy. I mean, chives are one of my favorites, always have been. And so, again, so much bang for your buck. You go to the grocery store, buy one of those little clamshells for $2.99 with about 4 sprigs of herbs. All right, well, that's $2.99, and inside of 6 weeks, you're going to have
it's going to blow up.
$50 worth of rosemary. So it's a bargain to boot.
And again, we were talking about how, as we move on into the fall, how these are going to complement those cold season crops very nicely.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of new, this is a new shirt.
Yes.
Now, I left the house this morning, and my wife complimented me. She said it was slenderizing because of its vertical stripes.
Ah.
That's something you might want to keep in mind for the future.
I'll keep in mind, but I'm probably still going to be wearing what's in the closet. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. I think it's time for me to leave.